Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast brought to you by OKKC Sports. I am your host, Kyle Walker. My pleasure to be here with you as always. First things first, I would love to thank the ladies who came on last week, Erica and Christina from Baby J's Legacy of Hope and the Rexy Run. We had a great talk with them about all the things that they're doing out in the Lawrence community to help combat childhood cancer and to raise funds and awareness, help out families. And then, of course, this revolves around doing the race, the Rexy Run, coming up here in about 2 weeks. So I thought it was a great episode. I really enjoyed listening to them talk. And I hope you were able to get a chance to take a listen to that. If you haven't heard it, go back 1 week and make sure you check out the Baby J's Legacy of Hope episode. I really think you'll enjoy it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So we are back with another week of racing. Oddly enough, I took a look at my calendar and it had been a full calendar month in between races for the podcast. That was surprising, I thought. So we got back to racing this weekend with the Spencer C. Duncan Make It Count 5K. That took place out in Gardner, Kansas. We were out there on Saturday. Thought it was an enjoyable race, a good morning, and very glad that we could help out and go do that. It was at the same place where we just did the Law Dog 5K and 10K a month ago. So the exact same location, exact same course. Thankfully, this time there were no issues with volunteers and there were no issues with traffic control, at least not as many issues as there was last month. And just so you know, in case you didn't know, and I know I've mentioned it once or twice, if you ever want to know what I think about some of the races, if you go to our website, backofthepackpodcast.com, there is a blog that I do after every race. So if you ever want to know about a race or kind of read up on it, make sure you go to www.backofthepackpodcast.com and you can find the race logo. You can read about it. You can see some of the pictures I take. I know I don't take a lot of pictures, nor do I really have the photographer's eye, but yeah, I do my best. And so you can always kind of get a look and get a feel for the race just by doing that. Now, thankfully, we don't have any more races coming up for a little bit. Our next race is going to be on August 20th, and that is the aforementioned Rexy Run. I really would love to see everybody out there. If you didn't listen to last week's podcast, make sure you listen because they actually set up a discount code for the Back of the Pack podcast. So listen to the episode, get the discount code, save a few bucks on Rexy Run, and hopefully we will see you out there on August 20th down in Lawrence, Kansas. Yes, it's going to be hot, and yes, it's going to be gross, and it doesn't matter because Rexy Run is a great race, and we, as a podcast, want to really support them and show up big. So please, please, please go sign up for Rexy Run and make sure you get out there. So what we're going to talk about today, I don't want to talk about. I really don't. I hate that we're going to talk about this, but we're going to. I had to do one of the most difficult things that a runner has to do. And I'm sure a lot of you by now already know what I'm going to talk about, or at least know the gist of it because you can hear it in my voice. As you know, I was fortunate enough to make it into the Berlin Marathon coming up on September 25th. And I'm so excited. And now, due to injury and other reasons, I have had to defer. The most dreaded word, one of the most dreaded words in all of running vernacular. I have had to defer my entry to the 2022 Berlin Marathon. I've deferred it to next year, so I still have an automatic spot in the 2023 Berlin Marathon. I am not happy about this. I am displeased, but it's the right decision. So right as I started to jump into the 10-week training program for Berlin, which I'll be honest, I am a 16-week training program person. I thought maybe I could do the 10. I'd be good to go. That was a terrible idea on my part. Too many things came up. Too many things got in the way of my training. First and foremost is injury. So what happened? Well, I have the oh so much fun and ever faithful runner's knee, the patellofemoral pain syndrome, otherwise known as runner's knee. Now, a lot of you runners have dealt with this before. I have dealt with it before previously, although it has never been to this extent. This seems pretty excessive compared to what I've had previously. And what really miffs me, one of the causes of patelliformal pain syndrome or runner's knee, which I'll probably just call it runner's knee from this point on, is one of the big things that causes it is trying to run and being really active when you're overweight. Okay, well, I've lost 81 pounds this year. Like, I've really taken weight off to try and extend my running career because I'm 42 years old and I'd always been running overweight, and still in the runner's world, I'm more than technically overweight. But here I've dropped all these LBs thinking it was going to help my body out, and then kaboom, I get this terrible case of runner's knee. So what is runner's knee? Let's talk about it, because if you're a runner, there's going to be a time where you face this. You're going to be like, gee, my knee hurts. And it feels really weird. You know, it's not on the side. It's not my ACL. It's not my MCL. It's not in the back. It's not the PCL. It feels like my kneecap is in pain. Like there's a problem with my kneecap. Well, that, my friends, is runner's knee. So runner's knee means that you have dull pain around the front of the knee, the patella. This is where the knee connects with the lower end of the thigh bone, otherwise known as the femur. And right now, I'm basically on WebMD right now. No, I'm sorry. This is actually hopkinsmedicine.org that I'm reading the medical aspects. Even though I know what this is, I want to make sure I give you the right terminology. And this is what they say causes runner's knee. So runner's knee may be caused by a structural defect or a certain way of walking or running. Other causes may include a kneecap that is too high in the knee joint. And that's not the case with me or most runners, but it's a thing. Weak thigh muscles definitely can be a contributing factor for runners. And then here's the big one. I probably should start and end with this one because I know this is where my difficulties lie, and I bet most runners too. Tight hamstrings. Yeah. Like, why would that affect my knee? Oh, but it does. Tight hamstrings, tight calf muscles, just the tightness in the muscles in our legs. Because if you just run and you're not doing other cross training or you're not great at stretching, hello me, your muscles down there are all tight. They're tight all the time. Like anytime I get a massage, and yes, there are times where I like getting a massage, especially like if I go to Vegas or something, I treat myself by going to the spa and getting like a hot stone massage. And every single time the masseuse will comment on how tight my leg muscles are, how tight my calves are, and how tight my hamstrings are. Every time you can count on it. A tight Achilles tendons is another one. Poor foot support, that can come down to your running shoes. Walking or running with the feet rolling in while the thigh muscles pull the kneecap outward. So I do run, me personally, I have to run with stability shoes because my feet roll in. And so that's always been an issue for me. But I've done what I can to combat that by getting the stability shoes. If you feel like your feet roll in and you don't go to one of the local running stores and like maybe have them watch you run or walk, you might want to do that because you might actually learn a little bit about the way that your body runs and walks, and if you curve in or if something's not aligned. And then you can get the shoes that will kind of help you combat that. So, that's whoever you want to go to, whatever your store is, go there, let them take a look at you and see if it doesn't change things around for you. And then another one, and this had me written all over it, excessive training or overuse. Like, yes, you can actually train too much and cause injury. That's a tale as old as time, although we runners would just love to ignore that fact. But yeah, this has been the most active year that I've had. I mean, probably maybe ever, to be real honest, maybe ever. Because when we started this podcast back in March, I immediately wanted to sign up to do every single stinking race that I could because I want to be able to talk about it. I want to be able to talk about it on the show. I want to work with some of the races. I want to take the pictures. I want to get everybody interested. And so I've raced more this year than any other year in my history. And we're only in August. We haven't even gotten to the fall running schedule yet. Yeah, the excessive training or overuse is a really big one. So those are some of the causes of runner's knee. Some of the symptoms: pain in and around the kneecap that happens when you're active, or pain after sitting for a long time with knees bent. This sometimes causes weakness or feelings of instability. Another one is rubbing, grinding, or clicking sound of the kneecap that you hear when you bend and straighten your knee. And then kneecap that is tender to the touch. Okay, well, all of these have my name on it. So again, I'm quite positive that this is what I'm dealing with. How to get runner's knee diagnosed, of course, a medical professional. No duh. If your knee is killing you, you need to go see your primary doc. He'll send you over to an ortho, and the ortho is going to tell you you've got runner's knee. Again, I am but a lowly podcaster. Please do not accept anything I'm telling you as medical advice or suggestion or course of action. I am simply relaying my experiences and my research to you. Always, always, always consult with a medical professional when you are facing some sort of running related injury. Okay. Cannot stress that enough. Don't just go by what the idiot with the microphone says, that being me. Seek out actual medical attention. Okay. So how is runner's knee treated? Well, this is where runners really are going to hate life. The aim number one is rest. You rest the knee. You stop running. And of course, that's the last thing we want to do. Also, your diagnosis or your plan of treatment depends on how old you are, your overall health and health history, how much pain you're in, how well you can handle specific medicines, procedures, or therapies, how long the condition is expected to last, in your opinion or preference. These are all things that are going to contribute to how you're treated. Now, the best course of treatment for runner's knee is to stop running until you can run again without pain. But we don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. I ran Saturday morning at the Spencer C. Duncan 5K. I put on my knee brace, and yes, it wasn't the most comfortable I've ever been. Not as bad as my knee has been. Thankfully, I think I'm on the up and up. But yeah, it's still an issue. It's an issue so much that I was scheduled to do a back-to-back. I know I put on our Facebook page that we were going to be at Spencer C. Duncan, and then we were also going to be a groundhog run. I didn't go to groundhog run. Not going to lie. Going to shoot y'all straight. I didn't go. My knee hurt. We had some other issues around the old Back of the Pack podcast Hacienda. So I didn't go to that race. I'm going to rest the knee because after yesterday's 5K, it was a little tender. And so I thought, discretion is a better part of valor. I will just take it easy and not go do a 10K in the caves. So the best course of treatment for runner's knee, like I said, is stop running so you can run again without pain. Here's some other treatments. Of course, cold packs are good. Elevating the leg if you're really hurting. Compression knee wrap or some kind of a knee brace. You can even wear it during the day. A little extra support isn't going to hurt anything. Medicines such as ibuprofen, stretching exercises, strengthening exercises, arch support in the shoes. So the last three of the big ones, in my opinion, just from my personal experience with this issue, stretching exercises and strengthening exercises. So again, this can very much be caused in us runners by tight hamstrings and tight calf muscles. And I think in my world, just for me personally, it's the calf muscles. So I am being very deliberate about stretching my calves before a run, after a run, and even just during the day. When I've had this injury previously, that helped me the most, was just stretch them all the time. And my favorite thing to do is to put my toes and the balls of my feet like on a staircase and then let your heels just kind of dangle down. You'll feel that stretch all through your calf muscle. Hold it for 30 seconds. Hold it for a minute. Do it once an hour, like 1 minute out of each hour. And it's a good stretch for your calves. That's kind of where I've had the most success. So can runner's knee be prevented? Well, here's what they say. Losing weight, if needed, is a way to prevent runner's knee. Well, swing and a miss for me on that one. I thought I'd lost enough. Apparently not. Stretching before running, increasing your activities gradually. That's a big one. Now, I thought I'd done that. Maybe that pertains to me because I, just kind of in March, I went from not doing a whole lot, like maybe one race a month, maybe, to I'm trying to fill every weekend. Wearing good running shoes and then running, leaning forward with your knees bent. I have read that overstriding also can really throw you off, where you're letting your feet get too far out in front of you and you're really striking with your heel. That can also put a lot of pressure on your knees. And then their last ones, there's some key points about runner's knee as they have identified. Runner's knee is dull pain around the front of the knee. It may be caused by a structural defect or a certain way of walking or running. Symptoms include pain, rubbing, grinding, or clicking sound in the kneecap. And then treatment includes not running until the pain goes away, also using cold packs, compression. The elevation may help. Medicine such as ibuprofen can lessen the pain and reduce inflammation. The reducing of inflammation is what you really want. Stretching and strengthening exercises can help prevent runner's knee. So that is the injury of choice that I'm dealing with right now. And like I said, this was the number one contributing factor for me deferring my Berlin registration to next year. There were also other factors. And so I even looked up, like when you have to defer a big race or you decide you can't do a race, like it really mentally wears on you, especially when you're taking your running stuff seriously. Like if you're listening to this podcast, I assume you're taking it mildly seriously, if not really seriously. But it can mess with your head, and it's been messing with mine now. I made the decision 2 weeks ago, and it's really kind of messing me up because I'd already made plans. I already had my flights booked. I had my hotel booked. I've been looking forward to the race, been getting all the emails, been interacting with people on Facebook, was going to meet some people out there. And now all of that's gone by the wayside, and it messes with you. So I went and I found this guy who he had to defer a race as well. And it really hurt him because he works in the medical field. So you would think that, if anyone was going to know how to stay healthy and avoid injury to, get to a race, it would be someone working in that field. So this is from runningphysio.com. And he just kind of tells his story and just gives some advice. And one of the things, like he listed some of the steps that you have to kind of think about when you're coming to the decision to defer a race. And here's a few of them. And I'm not going to read it all because it's a very long article. I'm just going to kind of give you the bullet points, and then I'll follow it up with my own little opinion of his bullet points. His first bullet point is what's actually wrong with you. Well, in my situation, I know that it is injury. The injury delayed my training, and I don't feel that I could cram enough before the test to have a successful race. Okay, I was trying to hop in a 10-week program. Well, then I lose the first 3 weeks of it due to injury, vacations, traveling, and other issues. I'm trying to then jump into a marathon program with less than 2 months until the race. You're either asking for more injury or to have, earmuffs, kids, to have a shitty race. And I didn't want to do that. I would be sacrificing my own enjoyment of the whole race and process by simply trying to cram to make it to this year. And then my marathon would stink. I'd feel terrible afterwards. I wouldn't have a good experience. And so that factored into my thinking for deferring the race. Number two, and we kind of covered this previously, advice from health professionals. So I'm glad somebody else has said it as well. If injury is one of the reasons you're deferring a race, then you need to talk to a medical professional. His third point is, can you fix it? Okay, well, yes, you can fix runner's knee by not running. That really kind of eliminates your options for having a good marathon. Number four, and this is what I just mentioned, how much time is left? Again, if I could not jump into a training program until 7 or maybe even 6 weeks before the race, and I'm not like a consistent marathoner, my last full marathon was in November of 2021. Okay, now we're looking September of 2022. I maybe average one full marathon a year. So it's not like I stay continuously in marathon shape. I stay continuously-ish in 5K shape. Oh, I could go bust out a 5K if you need me to. 10K if I'm feeling really froggy. But I can't just go out there and out a full marathon. I'd finish. My time would suck. I would hurt, and I would not be happy. I'd finish it, but it wouldn't be anything to be proud of. And so that, how much time is left, that's a big factor when it comes to deciding on deferring a big race. Number 5, are you really going to make it round? Make it round. Are you really going to finish? If you start this race with your level of preparation, with your level of ability, with your level of desire, are you going to finish? Because honestly, if I'm not going to finish a race, I'm not starting it. I still have 0 DNFs that did not finish to my record of over 200 races of various distances. I do not quit a race, but I also know if there's a chance I'm not going to finish it, I'm not going to start it. So are you really going to finish the race if you cross that start line with whatever your level of preparation is? Number 6, what are your goals? Well, in my situation, my goal is not only to finish, it is to finish in, of course, under their cutoff time. That's always a big deal for back of the pack runners. You don't want to hit the sweep truck. You don't want to get swept off the course. So I had to finish in under their time. I want to be able to mildly function the next day, and I want to have a good experience. So I'll tell you a quick side story here. Back in 2018, when I did the Chicago Marathon, terrible training. I wasn't ready for it. I ran the entire 26.2 miles with the constant fear of being swept off the course in the back of my head. So how enjoyable do you think that race was for me? It was mentally taxing the entire time, because the whole time you feel like the sweep truck is right over your shoulder. You feel like someone's about to tap you and say, hey, you're out of time. You got to get on the truck. We're going to take you back to the parking lot. You don't cross the finish line. You don't get your medal. You don't get your star for a world major. And that was for 26.2 miles that I had that thought. So my goal is to always be under their cutoff time, comfortably under their cutoff time, so that there's never a risk that they prevent me from finishing a race. The next one is the likely impact of running the race. If you're fighting injury, if you do the race, are you going to make it worse? And that's really the long and short of it. If you're going to injure yourself further and really go from, kind of a nagging pain in the rump injury to missing significant time or possible surgery, that's something you have to take into account. If your foot's going to fall off because you did this race, you got to decide if it's worth it. 99 times out of 100, no, of course it's not worth it. So those are just some of the things that you need to take into account when you're thinking about deferring the race. Honest reflections on injury is another big one that is also emphasized. Here's some of the reasons he's got. This more speaks to the injury part of it. Taking on too much. Again, we said overtraining can definitely be a thing. Inadequate preparation, also huge issue when we're talking about running marathons for sure. Neglected strength and conditioning. This has me written all over it. My cross training, if you want to call it that, is Monday nights I play 2 games of men's softball. Tuesday nights I play a game of men's indoor soccer, and I'm the goalie. So let's not pretend like I'm out there running a whole lot. I'm the keeper. So, yes, I sweat my rump off and I work really hard, but this isn't like ultimate cardio or anything along those lines. And then the rest of it is just going out for training runs. I don't mix in yoga. I don't mix in weights. I don't mix in core work. And I'm telling you all this because I know that I need to. Please, somebody hold me accountable for this. I know that's what I need to do. That is not what I do. Are you doing it? Are you mixing in your strength training and your core exercises and your stretching and your yoga? Because if you're not, well, you're going to end up like me. You're going to end up deferring maybe one of the biggest races of your life because your body's just not there. Another one that he mentions, overconfidence. That's very true. If you are overconfident, especially like overconfident enough you're ignoring an injury, that's going to come back and bite you in the keister. Another one is changed too much too quickly. That goes into kind of the overuse. He didn't modify training enough. Got it. Didn't rest enough. Rest days are huge. Those are important. I think, and again, just speaking for me, and maybe you guys identify with this, it's not that I don't have rest days. I have no rhyme or reason to my rest days. It's not where, okay, I know I'm going to work this day, this day, this day, and this day, and then these are my rest. It's very infrequent, and it's very just kind of as it comes along. I feel like I should plan my rest days better. I think that would be a good idea. As I sit here thinking about it, hey, what a good idea, Kyle. Oh, why don't you do that? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, great, Kyle. I'll do that. The next one, focused on squeezing in runs and lost sight of the bigger picture. Yep. I think we've all been there. Admit it, you have. So those are, here's his final thoughts. The final thoughts, choosing to defer is a tough choice. Sometimes, though, it's better to think long-term, rehab properly, and come back stronger. There will always be other races. So true, and especially a race like this and a lot of the really, really big marathons, all of them I've come across will at least give you one deferral, one deferment to the next year. Not all of them, but a lot of the ones that I've come across, especially the really big ones, you get you one chance. Okay, something went wrong in this year's training, but you better be ready to rumble next year. And you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to be ready to rumble next year. come hell or high water, I'm getting that Berlin star next year. I'm going to, train better, train longer, train smarter, and be ready to go next year. So look, if you have to defer a race, and again, all of our fall races are coming up, maybe your training's going poorly. Maybe you're looking at the Garmin Kansas City Marathon and thinking, dude, that full is not going to happen. You know what? Be smart, bust yourself down to the half, take yourself down to the 10K, do what you need to do to avoid injury. And if you just want to defer to the next year, if your race allows it, defer to next year. And then, there's almost that little sigh of relief of, okay, I know I don't have to kill myself in these last 6 weeks trying to get ready for something I still wouldn't be ready for. I can now look bigger picture, look farther ahead, get smarter, and really attack this thing with a lot more thought and a lot more consideration. And again, there's, as much as it messes with our heads, it's ultimately the smart play. It's the right thing to do. That's what we as runners need to do. We got to be smart, because goodness knows there are times we're not. I think we running community sometimes are the dumbest, most stubborn sons of guns walking the face of the planet. And of course, I say that lovingly. And I will say that as the lead dum-dum, because I am the lead dum-dum sometimes. But let's try and be smart on this one and make sure that we continue to run by taking care of these injuries and this overuse, and make sure you're stretching and make sure you're getting your strength in. And then we can continue to run so that we can do more podcast stuff for races next year and the rest of this year and stuff like that, right? Because ultimately we just do all this for podcasting. Oh, wait, that's just me. Sorry. So that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. We will be back next week. No races on the calendar for next weekend, so we'll find something fun to talk about. Maybe we'll go back. I know there's still some listener requested topics that I have not covered yet. I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to find one. So you know what? Next week's going to be a listener requested topic that we're going to go over and have a little fun with. So, hey, one thing I did want to ask you guys. Last week's episode with the Rexy Run folks, I don't feel like it reached its full potential of listens and downloads, because, I get a report every week on how many listens and downloads we've had. So look, I want you guys to go listen to it if you haven't. I want you to like, share, subscribe, do all those things. This podcast only grows with your love and support. Okay. There's only so much I can do. If you like what we're doing here, and if you like how this is going, I do. I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this. Then I need your help. I need you to like the show, like us on Facebook, share us on social media, wherever you're at. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. And then, real honest, if you go to Spotify or iTunes or wherever wherever you get your podcasts, if you would leave us a review, a star ranking and a review, you guys would be fan-freaking-tastic, and we can really start to get this out to more and more folks. So please do those things for me, and you'll just be my bestest buddies. Also, we do have another podcast on this network. The OKKC Sports Network does have a Kansas City Chiefs podcast. The season is coming up. So if you like my voice talking about running, maybe you'll also like it talking about football. Go out there and find the Red Kingdom Reaper podcast, brought to you by OKKC Sports, because Chiefs football is coming. I don't know about you. I'm super excited. Run a race in the morning, get home, get showered up, get the chili in the crock pot because fall is coming. Watch a football game. Sounds like heaven to me. All right. Thank you very much. As always, I really do appreciate all the love and support. I love meeting you guys out at races. It happened again this weekend, where I was able to say hi to some fans who saw the shirt. I think it's the greatest thing ever. I love you guys. That's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back next week. My name is Kyle Walker. My pleasure as always. This show is brought to you by OKKC Sports. It is produced by Katie O'Neill, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Be smart. We'll see you soon.